Welcome to the deep dive. Today, well, we're heading back in time, quite a way back actually, to 1877.
Yeah, it's a fascinating period.
We're going to explore this really quite remarkable historical text. It makes some huge claims about healing, and honestly, it reveals a worldview that might seem pretty strange to us now.
Mm-hmm.
Our source is Professor Adolphe Didier's Curative Mesmerism, Animal Magnetism, and its Healing Power. It's like a snapshot of a specific moment, in medicine and belief.
That's right. And just to be clear, our goal here isn't really to validate animal magnetism scientifically as we understand things today.
Right, not at all.
No, it's more about diving into Professor Didier's own world. We want to unpack his claims, the methods he talks about, the cases he presents, all straight from his book.
So we're trying to understand what people genuinely believed back then and practiced.
What was going on in the 19th century with this whole alternative healing scene?
Okay, let's unpack this then. What is this animal magnetism that Professor Didier was so passionate about? How did he actually define it? Where did he think it came from?
Right. So at its core, Didier believed that man possesses a supreme faculty, which constitutes his essence. That's a direct quote.
The supreme faculty.
Yeah. He called it lots of things, actually. Sometimes magnetic fluid, sometimes vital principle, nervous fluid, or even just life.
So a fundamental life force.
Basically, yeah. He thought it came from the brain and circulated through the nerves, kind of like electricity was his analogy. Oh. And crucially, he believed it could be transmitted from one person to another. Well, either by physical contact or, interestingly, just by directing your thoughts and your will towards someone.
Just by thinking.
That was the claim. It's rooted in that whole vitalist tradition, the idea of a non-physical life force animating things.
Gotcha.
And he had this famous saying, magnetism cures sometimes, relieves often, consoles always.
That is quite a promise.
Really?
And he didn't think this was new, did he? He mentioned ancient origins.
Oh, absolutely not new, in his view. He explicitly said, the healing power of magnetism appears to have been known to the ancients.
Like who?
He specifically mentioned India, Greece, Judea, Rome, even ancient Gaul. He thought it was this ancient wisdom that got lost, by the effect of revolutions, and he was sort of rediscovering it.
Right, bringing it back.
Yeah, and his view of health was quite holistic. He thought people were made of two parts, physical and moral, and you needed both developed equally for harmony.
Makes sense.
So disorder, for him, was basically just disturbed internal movements, and magnetism was the tool to help nature fix that, to restore balance.
How? How did it do that?
Well, either by boosting what he called the conservative principle, think of it like the body's own healing power, or sometimes by acting directly on whatever was causing the problem.
Okay, so if this fluid can be passed around, and he thought anyone could do it, what was the actual process? How did you magnetize someone? Was it just thinking happy thoughts?
He was actually pretty specific about the how-to. He defined to magnetize as, and I'm quoting again, to direct one's thought upon a patient with a persistent will to relieve him.
Persistent will, okay.
Yeah, willpower was key. He talked about this causing a general movement communicated from the magnetizer to the magnetized. The idea was the magnetizer could sort of speed up or slow down the patient's internal energy flow.
And his personal method.
Right. His own process involved, isolating himself first, doing some kind of mental prayer, really focusing his will, and importantly, opening his heart to the sweet impulse of benevolence.
Benevolence, like good intentions.
Exactly. But he also added that this required gratitude back from the person being magnetized. It was a two-way street, in his view.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. He talks about crises and something called somnambulism. What on earth were those?
Right, the crises. Didier believed that when someone was undergoing magnetism treatment, any crisis they experienced was actually a good thing. Salutary, he called it.
Good. How so?
He saw them as turning points. The body actively throwing off the disorder or rebalancing itself. Could be anything, twitching, deep sleep, maybe even emotional outbursts.
Okay, and somnambulism. That sounds like sleepwalking.
Yeah, but not quite like regular sleepwalking. He called it the most remarkable of all phenomena. It was basically putting the patient into this deep, mesmeric trance state.
It's a trance.
Exactly. And in this state, he believed, The person's external senses became incredibly heightened. They developed this extraordinary instinct, as he put it. They could supposedly understand their own internal state, know what remedies they needed, even perceive the causes of their illness. It was like this heightened internal awareness. But he did clarify, persons are sent to sleep only when operations must be performed. So it wasn't for every single session.
Okay, so a kind of super intuition while in this trance state. You mentioned he thought this power was instinctive and maybe easier for people closer to nature. Did he give examples of that?
He did, yeah. He painted this really quite touching picture. He described a mother in a humble cottage soothing her baby,
Ah, okay.
using gentle frictions. Or for pain, she'd make these passes from above downwards upon the vertebral column, upon the abdomen.
Like stroking.
Essentially, yeah. Or holding the baby close for teething pain, placing hands on the forehead for fever, rubbing the tummy for sickness.
Simple, everyday, comforting actions.
Right, but he saw this as a form of natural instinctive magnetism. It backed up his idea that anyone could do it, and actually that it should be common practice. He said, it must become the medicine of families that the father and mother should magnetize their children. The key, he kept saying, was confidence, believing in it. It's a really interesting reframing of basic caregiving as a healing art.
So with all these pretty bold claims you have to ask,
Yeah.
did he offer any proof? You said his journal had case studies.
Oh, yes, lots of them. And the range of conditions he claimed to have cured or at least helped is, well, it's quite something. It really covers a huge spectrum.
Okay, let's hear some. What stands out?
Well, just picking a few. He talks about abscesses. There was a countess's husband with a really deep one, apparently, leg all thin and emaciated. Didier claimed magnetism saved him.
Saved him.
That's the word he uses. And another case where a man's leg, which was shorter because of an abscess, supposedly lengthened so the high heel had to be taken off after treatment.
Knifed. Seriously?
According to his journal, yes. Then there's atrophy. He mentions an 86-year-old lady in 1871, bedridden, couldn't eat. First magnetization, she fell asleep, woke up asking for food, and apparently gained strength from the very first dose. Each session helped her go through the day.
86. Okay, what else?
Asthma. A young lady suffering since she was 6, apparently seen 19 doctors, no help. 6 months of magnetism, he says. Chronic cough gone, weakness gone, and 6 years later, still no return.
19 doctors.
Oh.
Wow.
It really emphasizes the desperation people felt. Then there's things like Bright's disease, kidney disease. A gentleman considered hopeless, couldn't move. After 6 weeks of Didier magnetizing his brain, spine, organs, the man could apparently walk without any help.
That's a major turnaround.
It is. Or deafness. A man deaf for many years. After 20 sessions, Didier claims the man could hear my watch at a great distance after not being able to hear it quite close to the ear.
Incredible claims.
Absolutely. And even things like liver disease with gallstones, where doctors apparently gave little hope. 1 hour of magnetism, dramatic improvement, total recovery over the winter, he says. He even magnetized the husband and daughter, too.
Okay, but what about mental conditions? Did he touch on those?
Oh, definitely. He used the term madness. One case involved a man with delusion caused by overstudy, apparently very violent. Didier just took his hands, claimed to draw it out, and the man supposedly became better, quieter.
Draw it out.
Yeah. And another, a woman with severe depression thinking she had offended the Holy Ghost. He considered her cured after only 6 sessions.
Goodness. And physical issues like spine disease, a man who couldn't walk told there was no cure. 6 weeks, Didier claims no pain, could stand and walk steadily. Even a tumor, described as cancerous on the breast, which apparently got smaller, softer, less inflamed after treatment.
The sheer range is just... it's staggering. Abscesses, atrophy, asthma, deafness, liver disease, mental illness, spine problems, tumors.
Exactly. It covers so much ground.
What does that tell you about what people were dealing with and maybe the limits of conventional medicine at the time?
Well, it certainly shows a huge unmet need, doesn't it? People were suffering from all sorts of chronic, debilitating conditions, both physical and mental, that established medicine often couldn't fix or couldn't fix comfortably.
Right, so they looked elsewhere.
They did. And Didier was offering this, well, this holistic approach. It wasn't just about fixing a symptom. It was about restoring balance, vitality. And he didn't just see it for illness either. He thought magnetism could be a preventative thing.
Like health maintenance. Yeah, especially after age 50, he said, when the body has more tear and wear. He thought magnetism was well calculated in keeping the whole machine going.
So Professor Didier wasn't just some theorist tucked away somewhere. He was actively practicing promoting this. How did he actually run his operation? If someone wanted his help, how did it work?
Oh, he was definitely running a business alongside his beliefs. He saw patients at his home address 10, Berkeley Gardens, Campden Hill in Kensington, daily appointments there.
In London, okay.
Yep. He also did house calls morning and evening, and for people further away, he offered consultations by letter.
Consultations by letter for magnetism. How would that even work?
That part isn't fully detailed, but presumably advice, maybe distant healing attempts based on his belief in will and thought transmission. It's unclear. But he also sold things.
Sold things. Like what?
He had these newly invented electro-magnetic machines for self-application. He described them as small, simple, portable, lasting, without acid, very curative.
Ah, machines. So not just hands-on magnetism.
Right. Combining it with a bit of technology, or what passed for it then, these machines came in different price points, from 30 shillings up to 120 shillings. And he said instruction was given free when you bought one.
30 shillings. That wasn't nothing back then. But it sounds like he genuinely wanted this to be accessible too.
It seems that way, yes. I mean, beyond selling machines, he set up something called the Mesmeric and Galvanic Institution for Attending the Poor.
For the poor.
Yes. Offering treatment free from charge and without recommendation, apparently. He actually asked for subscriptions, donations, to keep that running.
So a charitable arm to his practice.
Exactly. And he seemed quite sincere about the motive. He wrote that, yeah, magnetism could be abused, but doing it properly required too much time, too much sacrifices for anyone not genuinely wanting to help others. He said that desire only exists in the heart of the good.
So he saw it as a real calling, a benevolent mission.
That's certainly the impression he gives. It was more than just a technique for him. It was a moral endeavor.
Wow. Well, this has been a truly remarkable deep dive, hasn't it? Back into Professor Adolphe Didier's world of 1877 and curative mesmerism. The claims are just enormous, the methods so different from today. But his belief, it seems absolutely solid.
It really does. It's such a vivid glimpse into how people tried to make sense of healing and suffering.
It really reminds you how people throughout history have grappled with the body, with illness, and how to influence that healing process.
Yeah, absolutely. And exploring Didier's work, his passion, all those case studies he documented, it really makes you think, doesn't it? What does this intense belief in something like animal magnetism tell us about, well, about that fundamental human drive to find healing? And maybe about the sheer power of conviction itself, both for the healer and the patient. And just the incredibly diverse ways people have always looked for relief, often way outside what conventional medicine understood or understands even now. It leaves you wondering about that enduring search,